Hi, this is Gandon, and we are playing the latest beta of As We Descend. So originally, it was supposed to come out in, I think it was 3 days ago, but then we got a notification that apparently while playtesting this, so they have a dedicated amount of players, not me, but I will probably have a similar take, I would assume. But it didn't come back as positive. Now, it didn't exactly state if it was because they didn't like it at all or that it was in unstable form and not working so well. My guess is that it might be a little bit of both, but mostly because of so many major changes that doesn't improve improve of the flow of the game. In fact, it doesn't do anything good at all. Now, the first time you play this, you're going to have to be forced playing the Vanguard because you haven't unlocked anything when you're doing the beta. So this is not like playing the regular update where you have unlocked everything and you're just building on that. The beta, as I'm playing here on a beta server or test server, it has nothing unlocked. So you are unlocking as you go. I wanted to showcase, though, the flow itself for one cycle is repeated in a second cycle. Sure, I don't think anything has changed as far as the mini bosses, major bosses. That's pretty much happening in each cycle as it was before. But a flow is completely different, and you actually won't have a fourth unit until pretty much in the beginning of the third cycle. So that flow is a little bit bizarre. And maybe that is trimming us for a potential additional cycles after that instead of third. But right now it ends at the third. So you're not going to be able to play a fourth unit until the third cycle and maybe just for one time. And the reason is this. The only time you really play 4 units is if you get one of those deadly missions and the expeditions. They have the skull next to it. That's when you use the max amount of your units. If that happens in the second cycle, that would be 3 at the most. If it happens in the third cycle, it's going to be 4, right? So that still exists, but the way you do now with expeditions is terrible, in my opinion. Before, you had 2 expedition cycles in the first cycle. Oh, expedition turns in the first cycle with a total of 4 overall, which allowed you to potentially being able to unlock one of the Mythian engines roughly in the end of the first cycle or the beginning of the next cycle, depending on if you got those 3 power rods that you have to in order to power up the actual city with 2 and then unlock with 1 the workshop itself. So 3 at a max if you had all the stars aligned. Now you only really have 1 expedition cycle per cycle, so that's bad. And it only gives you 2 with a potential of a third with less scavengers if you choose to send one of your envoys to a new thing that unlocks, which either gives you 5 more hit points to your overall city or the gate itself, as they call it. It's not the barrier, it's the gate. Or you choose to do a expedition with 3 scavengers instead of 6. In other words, pretty caca, in my opinion. There was some ways for you to get more strength to the gates before. And as far as extra expeditions, not really. There was an option of using, for example, I do believe one of the fragments, the tech fragments, in order to add one more scavenger or something. No, you sacrificed one expeditions to get more scavengers on the next, something like that. Now you then have a choice of having this one lousy 3 scavenger unit in addition. So that gives you 3. But keep in mind, they have taken away half of the expeditions pretty much. So otherwise, you're going to have in each cycle 2 expeditions, or you can get this 2.5 if you would like. And that is awful. Plus, they are also broken up. So it used to be in every single turn as you go down the actual entire cycle. You could go into the city. You could use your envoys in order to visit different places, or go into a shop, for example. Does not exist anymore. You used to be able to unlock the undermarket in cycle 2, and now it doesn't happen until the 3rd cycle. There are so many resources that unfortunately you're not going to be able to take advantage of. And that is terrible, because the flow now is that it is possible now that you're not going to have all the units. You can barely rotate your lantern cards. And it's probably going to be seen here, but the lantern empowerment cards that you start with is what I had for almost entire 2 cycles, with barely getting any other lantern empowerment card. That means that the one thing the votive is good at, which is empower units and get extra power out of that is their specialty, barely happens. Again, because of the fact that you only have that one empowerment card in rotation, and you're going to have a difficulty getting more. You see, in general, you get several different ways of rotating lantern cards. Either by going into a shop and buying something can do it, depending on the shop, of course, or that you go in and find these things in the expeditions that allows you to rotate another card. This is not happening unless you get the card shop, in which you can only visit once per cycle. It's just terrible. This is such a major step back in the whole enjoyment of the game. Now, if this is a way of redoing things because people got too powerful, then they did the quite opposite. They didn't adjust it to fine-tune it. They just savaged the entire way you play the game in such a way that it's less fun. It feels actually like playing the Guild Origin, because that's just how poorly paced it is and how you can't get the synergy to work that well. Because that has to do with empowerments. I can barely empower the knight now. I got in the knight the twice that I played, and every time I could barely empower it. What's the point of having a knight if you can't empower it? In fact, I could barely get any of the better barriers to replace the lousy ones that you start with, because that is how poorly paced and how poorly rotated those cards are. It is so awful that you are most likely gonna fight the end boss with probably 60 to 80% of the original cards to start with that you might not want to use, especially barrier cards, because each cycle is going to be more difficult, and each cycle is going to have enemy creatures with higher attack values, or can hit you harder. And if you're just doing a lousy beginner barrier for that, you're toast. So I had such a awful experience with both the pacing, the ideas behind what they did, that in the end, I didn't even want to finish. As you can see, I could continue my descent here. I didn't even want to finish the last cycle, because that was just it just felt nauseating going through that experience in a way that did not promote fun. I mean, I make it sound terrible, but in my opinion, it felt that terrible. So we are gonna, let's unlock some couple of things here. Now I don't really care as far as what starter cards for this unit. So that's a new starter card. But I can do. Let's go ahead and do that. Maybe that will play a little bit different. So I start with that one instead. Apply empowerment to friendly. Draw 2 for that friendly. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Am I going to do this one? Enemy ways are more challenges. Start. Okay, so we can do that one. That one is a little bit different too. You have this defiance thing that they added. Haven't really played with that because it's not necessarily something I'm overly interested in. Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. And then we work. I'm probably not going to use this one ever. Because Fairy Blade is such an awful... It's not worth it. You're not going to have fun. But let's start it. So there are a couple of changes too in the city. And I will showcase that here for this cycle that I'm going to play for you. Yes, you can see. So now you have this one called the planning cycle. That's when you can go into... so this is when you can go into the different shops and use envoys. This is where you do the expedition. They call it the scouting cycle. And I will show you what I mean by the limitations down on any of them. I would suggest you go back to look at any of my update 4 ones. It gives you a better idea what you can expect exactly from each cycle. But here they have broken that down. There's a new resource that added for the resting cycle. So you no longer go into the tavern. Taverns still exist in this case. But in there, you're going to find these crates that you can use to heal yourself or give yourself more favor. And by the way, you are draining your favor much quicker nowadays because of the fact that you can only go into the shop in one cycle. The rest of them, you can't do that anymore. You can't go into an expedition cycle, do a couple expeditions, realize you need to jump into the shop, and then get more resources from in there. It's not going to happen. You have the one chance for each cycle, and yeah. It sounds as sucky as it is. So we are going to get 2 units first. I'm not going to play the Wayfinder. I'm just going to give you Dauntless. It's just simple enough to use. And let's see what else we get. I hope not the Vanguard. Arbalest is fine enough. Yep, we do have the Arbalest. Yeah, I'm not going to play around with a Wayfinder. It's a good unit, but given the fact that I can barely empower anything nowadays, I don't even want to entertain it. Work Pit, that's what we unlock. So what's happened now is that each cycle you unlock certain, I think it's completely randomly in the city. And that's different from how it worked before. Before you had an envoy, you go into the marketplace and you have a random thing that can unlock a new feature in the city. Now it just happens each cycle, first, second, and third unlocks certain things in the city. I'm just gonna gain some money. And here my invoice. So now I have these things that I can use. Now I can't go in here because that's part of the whole resting cycle. I can't go into the shop. I can go here. That's the work pit. And of course, marketplace has chains and counters. And then the rally point. Here's where you can send one of your envoys to get to get that lousy expedition. So let's just do that to showcase here. You can add 10 health to the gate lantern. Okay. Or you can do a bonus expeditions, but you see, it's just 3 scavengers. Okay. I want to maximize that to get resources, so I'm just going to do that. And I got the shittiest of them. That's fun. So let's just go ahead and add that. Try to unlock that one. Failure. Not that I care. And then just do a chance encounter here. I can acquire that, or I can acquire that. Yeah, I want to do a vial that do nothing. And that's it. That's it for that. That was the one time that you go into the shop and use your envoys. So now we're going here. And this is a mini battle like it normally would be after your first expedition cycle. But now they just combine it into the same. So you will see shortly what I mean. Well, let's do some spiked formation here. A little bit armor. So now I have my 3 expeditions. The 2 normal with 6 scavengers and 1 with 3. And I have Break the Siege. Break the Siege is mandatory, which means you're going to have to play this one. These are not mandatory. You could, for example, go in and sacrifice. You could at least before. Now you can't. Maybe that was true with the first cycle. Not sure. But once you do the Break the Cycle, I do believe that's going to end it all. Even if you have things on your hand. Because of the fact that you done your mini-boss and you move on. And as you can see, I cannot go into the city. I cannot do any envoys or anything like that like you would normally do in the expedition phase. So let's start with the lousy one. And here's a reactor rod. And that's the thing that you will notice is that since you have so many fewer expedition cycle, there's a less chance that you will get the reactor rod. And to unlock a Mythion, you need 3. Also, if you're taking a damage to your barrier, that counts as burning out one of the reactor rods. So now you're going to have to find another one. Since this drags out for so long between your actual expedition cycle, it's very likely that a mini-boss will burn out your barrier and you will simply not have fun. Now, another thing too is that you cannot use that reactor rod right away in order to power up the lantern or the city. So I am just going to do this guy because he can auto attack. And right away, these turd muffins is attacking both here. That is lovely. So we're gonna double up here. Empowered Echo still works. You empower the lantern. It takes the non-offensive one twice. The first one. And we just want to move up. Because in this case, there's no point standing here. They can attack me anywhere. But it looks like I'm not going to get that chance. Precision shot. Oh, I did. So they got to both miss me. That's good. They can actually focus on attacking 1 here. 2. A little bit more barrier. Nothing has changed to the barrier as far as I can tell. It is still the same setup. Oh, got that one back. Should I? Yeah, why not? And what does that do? Empowered arrow ability to increase the base critical damage. So if I crit, like in this case, I can crit with that one. And he's dead because there was a doubling up on the crit. Let's just go ahead and keep firing. There's also something wrong with feeble on some cards. That can be cards that were adjusted and changed around a little bit. I noticed that the other day that feeblement was not working on one of the Vanguard cards. But it seems to be working on others. It's very finicky. I think something happened with update 4 that broke enfeeblement a little bit. We got a card. It's your power on. Also, as you notice, that there are sometimes there's hidden like this, but other times where you can see exactly what you're getting. Now, normally when you would get the dream fruit, I didn't get it in this time, is that it ends up in your hand and you can use that in the city for either removing a card or actually can use it for healing. it doesn't work that way anymore. If you pull it here, then it's just going to give you an option to remove cards, not to heal, which is unfortunate. I don't know if that's an artifact or the fact that they have removed envoys from all cycles and it just works in one cycle. Possible, but it does limit the whole setup a lot. So let's go for another expedition cycle. Just finish that one off. Oh, I got a chance for a reactor rod again. I am gonna take it because I would be curious if I could just get the Mythian machine earlier. But who knows? I'm gonna move this guy up. And I do not have... This one is pretty interesting. I'm just gonna use that one. Let's see. So he has Armor Breaker. That one has changed. We're going to do that first. Because we are going to have to protect that guy. And he's going to add some armor. Let's see if we can crit damage that thing right there. Bam. So that one should have breaking now. Unless, of course, the armor took away some of that. That was the normal attack. Thank God. Should we use this one? Yeah, we still have some decent amount of favor. And let's just use this one. For the fun of it. Let's see if Feeblement took. Yeah, it looks like that's enfeebled. Well, that's good. Oh, no, he didn't. Of course he didn't break that one. Why would he, right? And let's go ahead and get that done too. So he's gone. Just cost me one favor. That's it. But now you have so much less options for favors. So, oh, look at that. There's no question I'm going to try for this. Perk. And that one is actually good. That one allowed me to auto attack even from the back line with the Dauntless, which is a good thing. Notice by now we would probably, once this expedition force is over, we would have collected a third member. But yeah, the pacing on that is off. Oh, another one? I'm getting lucky here. That is 3 takes of power rods. I haven't seen that. It's very unlikely, but whatever. I'll take it. That allows me to power up and all that. So that's not a bad thing. Of course, if my barrier gets hit, I am toast muffin. So that's going to be interesting to see. Anyway, I need to move up the guy. Can always do that first. Can I move up, please? What's that one say? Nah. Oh, yeah. There we go. You're going to have to be up there. He's not going to take any damage, so that's good. There we go. Now, he has on him now counterattack because of that barrier thing, the armor thing. So now at least anytime they attack me, I'm going to attack back. There we go. Not much of an attack. Oh, that is sucky. Look at that. No empowerment card yet. That's the downside of only having 1 empowerment card. So he's going to armor break me now. Yep, armor break. Armor shred. At least he is done. Oh, I did get 2 here. So that actually helps. Especially since my armor broke in here. I'm going to barrier up. And I am going to Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna do another spike formation. It's ridiculous that whole armor shredding shit. Yep, here's another armor shred. I mean, it would be nice if we could just kill that thing off. Wouldn't it? Okay, get rid of him. There we go. Reactor rod. Dad, finally. Oh, Lord. What am I doing here? I'm going to do that one and get rid of that one. Let's do... I'm just glad that I unlocked that so I can get a little bit more empowerment. And then finally, we're gonna fight the first mini-boss. Oh, him. Oof. Ouch. That one's gonna hurt. But hopefully with a little bit of footwork, we can avoid taking as much damage. So I don't really have to step up here. And the reason is he's just gonna attack the guard zone. So right now... And he just have that. So I don't really have to waste. Of course, if I don't get anything next round, then I'm screwed. Because then he can just sweep both. But I did get it. Okay, 10. He is most likely going to... No, get out of here. Oh, stun. Perfect. Doesn't get better than that. So now we are going to use that one. I'm running low on favor though. That is for sure. And I haven't gotten any supplies yet. So that's not good. Oh, knocked him out. Perfect. I'm not gonna boost him. I don't feel like doing that. What does that actually do? Empower the Dauntless to force enemies to prioritize attacking it and enable the counterattack. Okay. That's decent enough. He's getting there. He's getting a little bit tenderized. Okay. I counterattacked him. And it's gone. Okay. Oh, we get supplies in the end of that. That's true. You can find supplies in the expeditions, but you also get supply here. Normally you would get that thing that the corrupt core, but you're not getting corrupt cores anymore. And there's nothing else I can do here because, yeah. You don't have the normal expedition cycles, town cycles, and all that. It's just all jumbled together. There's nothing here I actually want. But let's do that one because that's a pretty good one. Quartermaster, read it last. So I'm going to draft a perk. Oh, that's cool. He can get those cheap javelins. Reservist is also pretty good, but only in that zone. And of course, Executioner if I hit weak points. That's a What would work better for me? Probably just having a bunch of those. They add rupture too. Rupture is just extra damage once you stagger them. So here we are. This is what I have to work with now. So I can, of course, do that. Have not changed the functionalities. You can either refine something or it can, like this one is empowerment 2. And if I upgrade it, see what happens if I upgrade that one. 9. You know what? I'm just going to go with 9. Supplies. I have not taken a damage, but I am low on that. So that's what you do. There's no roll anymore. Before you had the roll in the case you wanted to get some extra favor. Not the case anymore. So we are doing that. And I just got lucky, man. I don't think this is how things work generally. And we can actually unlock the workshop. And I do believe you can use the workshop right away. Yes, you can. They have removed the delay on it, the repair. You can't get the guy out right away, though. That is something I noticed. They took that away from you. So before you could just get it out with a level 1. Now it's just whatever. You know, if you find extra fragments, I would assume that you could do that again. Not sure. No, it's actually locked out. Okay. So they changed that too. Before you could use a corrupt core to give it another level, and then you could use a fragment, which locked it out to get level 2. So it was one way to boost it up real quick. And here we go. We're going into the boss fight. Oh, none of these are good. I guess that one is the best of the worst. I'm actually gonna pay for that because when you start this early, it's a benefit in the long run. If you get that one when you fight in the last boss, it's pointless other than just taking 2 additional cards. And here we go. We are going. The only thing here is I don't have to worry about burning out any of the barriers because I already unlocked the workshop. That's already happening. And as you can see, I only have 2 units. At this point, you would probably have 3 units. At this point. Not anymore. I could actually stand back here. Not that it really matters. Let's just move up. It's always better because if he attacks with that additional attack, it's just gonna... Whatever. Whatever. Okay, so we're gonna do a spear throw because that adds up rupture. On 2, and then finally that. It's a lot of armor. Marked for death. Everyone gets hurt. So I'm actually gonna use this for that one. Empowers it. Gotta use that for that one. Empowerment twice, and also a nice fat barrier. A little bit barrier for you. A little bit more barrier for you. We are gonna slap him with some additional of that, and then do a wild volley. It does a little bit more damage. Actually, just use this one. Just showcasing here. So that's a little bit 50% more damage against weak points. Now I get to attack twice. Spike formation. So he is going after my... That's naughty of you. I mean, it's better than nothing. Let's not say much, but it is definitely better than nothing. Okay, so you're going to attack the front row now. That's fine. That adds a nice juicy one. Yes, he is down. So let's start with just doing that. Perfect. Let's do that. Well, we can certainly do that. That hits 4 times instead. He gets exertion, but it hurts better. Precise shot. There we go. A little bit more rapture damage there. And he's gone. And there you go. That is the general flow every single time. Again, it haven't, as you will see here with the second cycle, you still have the same setup as before. So there we go. We're going to have now a city one, and we unlock this one, the career. So as you see, it's just an automatic unlock. Career with choir. I like bandages, to be honest. And we are going to expand that one to do a little bit more damage. I get a new unit, and I'm going to take the knight. Makes perfect sense. What do we have here? The brute. And of course, there's so much less chance to get anything good from the shop because, again, you can only go into the shop once. It's just, yeah. Stop whining. I'm just showcasing. That one is the best. Okay. I can now construct now, draft a special Mythian rare unit level 2. Construct it after this depth instead to give you more time to repair it further with additional computer chips, or you can do computation chips now, or artifact fragments. Yeah, so again, I'm going to be able to just use it once. If I do that, at least here I can use it more than once. So I'm just going to recruit it now. There is something that you can get called a Prestige Engine. With him bear an auto attack against an additional attack. Come on. Give me the Pristine Engine. Nope. No Pristine Engine. That's a terrible, terrible thing. That one at least would empower all my units to start. Not good. Not good. Not the best of setups. So let's go ahead and visit that. Let's go in here. Oh, I went in with the wrong guy, but I unlocked it. Okay. We will start with him actually empowered ones. That's good. And yeah, we're going to get as many favors possible here. It's not like it's going to be a lot of it, to be honest. And that's the work pit. Let's just go ahead and pick up one of these stupid makeshift expeditions. I see that they changed it to 10. It was 5 before. I guess it wasn't really enticing enough for people to want to do just 5 additional hit points to the portal, so they did 10. That's like a small little update that they did. Not sure if that really does anything, to be honest. It's such a non-difficult choice. Do you want more expeditions with potential more benefits or less? Lay down the law. And a mid-boss battle. And after this, I think I am done just to showcase. So, the Arbalest didn't get that good one, the Auto Flurry thing. So, I'm just going to go with the Orb Wheel, which is such a much better setup. Well. So, we are going to move him up. And we are going to use that one here because, again, we want to empower that. Not the best choice, but whatever. Yeah, if I had a pristine engine, all of these would be empowered. Him twice, these two, so he can actually start using the good setup with that guy. At least he is firing. Yeah, let's do that. Now I'm going to do something funny here. We're going to slide him up. We're going to use that one. That's done. Going to use that, so he's going to do an Auto Flurry. Going to do that again. And what can I do so I can use that one? Well, we can actually use that one. That way we can do this one. Okay. 6-3. That's pretty good. Yeah, there we go. He's auto-attacking, which is perfectly fine. And I guess that's it, except for giving him some. You should be gone now. There you go. Nice little smackaroo there. And I got supplies and artifact fragment. And I'm moving on to the next stage. Yeah, what do I want to do here? That one? Not really. Well, you know, it's an attack. Really expensive one. Not worth it, really. But there you go. These changes are not good. That's my opinion. I can understand you want to switch things around, but with fewer expeditions, less resources, less chance to get a good set. I was just lucky to be honest to get that many power rods. The stuff that I done before, I could barely get a power rod. As you can see, rotation is an issue for being able to rotate cards. I got that one, so that's good. That's more barrier, and it's also empowerment. This setup with the two empowerment cards here is much better than the previous one, where it only provides one empowerment cards, but it's still the original stuff. In the previous setup, update 4, you had a better rotation. Regardless if you don't get the card shop, it felt with the additional expeditions that you always had opportunities to rotate cards. And if you stay with this, with the light beers and whatnot, at the end, it just gets such a drudgery and not that fun. I think they need to rethink this setup here. It was so much better to being able to use the envoys and go into any other shops in between each segment. This whole thing where you can only do it here, and then here you do expeditions, and then you rest, it's just not fun. It's such a, it doesn't add a challenge either. It's just challenged by scarcity. There are other ways of doing challenges, and there are other ways of just doing fun. This, unfortunately, does not promote fun. And that's my final opinion on this. Let me know what you think. If you have played it, if you decided to download the beta and go through the pains and figure out if that would actually work for you. It is not working for me, but maybe it's a little bit different for you. So you have a great day. Fantastic life. I hope everything works out for you. And as I always say, until we meet again, adieu.